Now we will discuss about food grade samplers. The sampling system should not interfere with the analyte. It should be light, compact, easy to use, to transfer, to service, easy to clean, disinfect, sterilize and to dismantle. It should be safe for the operator during its use. Now we will discuss about the characteristics and performance of food grade samplers. One thing is standardization of samples. They should be sterilizable, built according to international standards. They should be professional systems, built according to safety standards, no influence with different operators, and they should be suitable for microbiological sampling. For liquid sampling, different types of samplers are used. These are Attox mixture, dipper, dip Attox mixture or sampler, probe syringe, milk suck syringe, glass sampler, swing sampler, aqua composite, acid sampler, Murray locus kit. Like that, different types of samplers can be used for liquids. For powder and granule sampling, ellipso spoon, MIPA sampler, pick bottle probe, pick probe, multi-probe, multi-mixi probe, scoop system, spatula can be used. For sampling of granules, endless gun can be used. For sampling of solid samples, Cebu sampler, Stuyves piston, Radix spatula, soil kit, ice probe, Sergel probe, Labonic tool, spatulas rod can be used. Now we will discuss about different methods of isolation and identification of microorganisms, including the modern methods. The traditional detection methods are less sensitive, laborious and time consuming. Molecular detection methods based on latest genomic techniques are more sensitive, such as next generation sequencing, real time PCR, microarray and other molecular biology techniques are able to provide faster results with more accuracy. DNA based testing is now feasible on a single molecule. These screening methods facilitate analysis of various parameters simultaneously, thus allowing various characteristics to be determined quickly and with more sensitivity. The most common source of pathogens in food and water is fecal contamination of either animal or human origin. Feces also contain innumerable non-pathogenic bacteria, and the presence of these other bacteria in food or water indicates that fecal contamination has occurred, that is undesirable enough levels and the potential presence of pathogens. The most commonly used indicator bacteria are fecal coliform and fecal enterococci. E. coli, the most abundant bacterium of the human colon, is the most important indicator of human fecal contamination. However, some coliform bacteria such as Enterobacter aerogenus are of non-fecal origin and may be present in uncontaminated samples. Thus, testing the coliform bacteria involves several tests to minimize the possibility of false positive results. Bear in mind that the presence of indicator bacteria does not mean that human pathogens are definitely present, but their presence suggests that the fecal contamination has occurred and that pathogens may be present. Now we will discuss about collection of samples for the microbial quality analysis. A sample consisting of a specified number of sample units, usually 5, drawn at random from each lot shall be taken. Each sample unit shall consist of at least 100 ml or grams unless stipulated in the method. Collect in original unopened container wherever possible. If the product is in bulk, several sample units can be collected from one container, while ensuring that the total number of sample units are not collected from one container. More than one sample unit may also be collected from large institutional or bulk containers when the total number of sample units required exceeds the number of containers in the lot. Place the collected sample units in sterile containers. A sample unit will consist of more than one container when the lot consists of containers smaller than 100 ml or grams. For example, 425 ml or gram containers in each sample unit. Employ aseptic techniques in collecting the sample units. Keep the sample unit refrigerated at 0 to 4 degrees centigrade or frozen depending on the nature of the product during transport. Do not allow sample units that are usually frozen to thaw during shipment. Now we will discuss about collection of the sample. Specific sample collection techniques should be selected based on the requirements of the organism or organisms of interest. Some key principles for collecting microbiological samples include: sterile techniques must be followed and documented when collecting and processing the samples. This includes sterilizing sampling equipment and supplies with heat, chemical or other treatment prior to sampling and decontaminating sampling equipment between site visits. Procedures for collecting representative samples from a water body are generally the same as for physical and chemical constituents, except that sample containers are not to be field rinsed with native water, but should be autoclaved or otherwise sterilized before use. Higher sample volumes may be required for microbiological pathogens than for other constituents. Analysis for protozoa, for example, generally requires 10 liters or more of sample. This requirement may be challenging for sampling technology. Sterile conditions must be maintained during storage, transport and analysis of microbiological samples. Holding times at 1 to 4 degrees centigrade temperature between sample collection and analysis are generally shorter than those for chemical constituents. For example, the holding time is less than 96 hours for samples collected for protozoa analysis. The holding time is less than 48 hours for coliphase and enteric virus analysis. Now we will discuss about isolation and identification of bacteria. To isolate bacterial strains, samples of foods are plated on culture dishes and incubated for several days at optimum temperature. Single individual colony which consist of millions of cells are isolated and further characterized. Now we will discuss about different analytical methods used for identification and isolation of microorganisms. Microorganisms are routinely cultured and enumerated by two general methods. One, that is membrane filtration and liquid broth, and the second method is enzyme substrate test. Membrane filter culture methods typically report results as bacteria density, that is 100 ml or colony forming units CFU per 100 ml. Enzyme substrate test using multiple well plates report results as most probable number MPN per 100 ml. Most state agencies and commercial water testing laboratories are able to conduct routine analysis for microorganisms at a relatively low cost. Because they cannot be cultured, the presence of protozoan pathogens in water must be verified by identification of the pathogens themselves. Filtration. Cryptosporidium oocytes and Giardia cyst from the water sample are concentrated and filter, eluted from the filter with an elution buffer and reconcentrated by centrifugation. Immunomagnetic separation. The oocytes and cysts are magnetized by attachment of magnetic beads conjugated to antibodies and then separated from extraneous materials in the sample with a magnet. Immunofluorescence assay. Fluorescently labeled antibodies and vital dye are used to make the final microscopic identification of the oocytes and cysts. The organisms are identified by microscope when the size, shape, color and morphology agree with specified criteria. Microbial source tracking. Unlike monitoring for most chemical pollutants, microorganism monitoring can provide insight into pollution sources through the tools of molecular biology. The term microbial source tracking, also referred to as genetic fingerprinting, refers to procedures that use host specific, that is found only in one host species or group, or host associated, that is largely confined to one host species or group, microbial indicators to establish the origin of fecal pollution in water. Microbial source tracking is based on the principles that some microorganisms have an exclusive or preferential association with a particular host, and that these host associated microorganisms are shed in feces and can be detected in water bodies. MST methods are distinguished by whether they use genotypic versus phenotypic analysis, whether they use cultivated target organisms or conduct direct analysis of environmental samples. There is no widespread consensus among researchers or regulatory agencies regarding the best methods for microbial source tracking. Each approach has its own advantages and limitations. Microbial source tracking approaches fall into two general groups. One, library dependent methods. Second one is library independent methods. The library dependent methods require the development of databases of genotypic, that is genetic makeup, or phenotypic, that is observable physical or biochemical characteristics, fingerprints for bacterial strains isolated from suspected sources. Fingerprints of isolates from contaminated sources are compared with those libraries for classification. The LDM approach is based on the hypothesis that certain characteristics of bacteria are associated with specific animal or groups of animals, that these characteristics in environmental strains are similar to those found in host groups, and that the relative proportion of the identifying characteristic remains constant in the environment over time. The majority of LDMs use characteristics of fecal indicator bacteria, most commonly E. coli, which can link source tracking results to the routinely monitored bacteria used in water quality standards. In order for the source of environmental isolates to be correctly identified, it is essential that the library be large and diverse enough and also contain a set of profiles representative of all the potential animal sources in a particular watershed. At the same time, the library must be geographically constrained enough to be applicable to the study area. Some common LDMs for MST include phenotypic typing methods. Antibiotic resistant analysis. Antibiotic resistance analysis relies on bacterial resistance to antimicrobials to distinguish sources of fecal bacteria. The theory behind this method is that normal gut flora from different animal host antibiotics in varying degrees and will develop resistance to antibiotics over time due to selective pressure. Patterns of resistance can be determined for isolates from different animal groups, which can then be used to identify sources of fecal pollution. ARA is generally much less expensive and technically demanding than genotypic library dependent methods. These techniques can distinguish multiple sources including human and domestic animals. Next, we will learn about biochemical fingerprinting. Biochemical fingerprinting, example carbon source utilization, is based on measuring the ability of bacteria to metabolize specific carbon and nitrogen substrates. Compared to molecular methods, this method is rapid, requires less technical expertise and uses commercially available supplies. However, its application in field studies has not yet been widespread. Now, we will learn about genotypic methods. Under that, pulsed field gel electrophoresis. This is considered to be one of the best methods for biochemical and molecular typing among molecular MST methods and is widely used to identify bacteria implicated in disease outbreaks. This method uses the entire DNA genome for identification. The method is highly sensitive and accurate, but costly and technically demanding and requires an extensive library. Ribotyping. Ribotyping has been one of the most widely used LDM applications. Ribotyping is based on the detection of genetic differences in the genomic sequences of ribosomal RNA. Although highly accurate, ribotyping is technically demanding, expensive and labor intensive. Many of the library dependent techniques use typical FIB species, thus offering direct comparison with commonly monitored indicators. However, LDMs have some serious disadvantages that increasingly discourage their use. These disadvantages focus on the large and uncertain size of the library required for source identification. LDMs are based on the belief that specific bacterial strains are associated with specific animal species. However, recent studies suggest that subspecies of E. coli change significantly with respect to geography, time and habitat. Thus, a library would need to contain a very large number of isolates to account for this variability. Furthermore, most E. coli and Enterococcus strains have been found to occur in many host species. Very large libraries tend to contain large proportions of these cosmopolitan strains, reducing the specificity of source identification. Now, we will discuss about library independent methods. LIMs do not depend on the isolation of targeted source identifiers because identification is based on detection of specific DNA or other genetic markers in isolates from contaminated sources. This technique can be applied to both bacteria and viruses. LIMs are based on the selective detection of source specific bacterial populations through direct culture and enumeration or analysis of nucleic acids. Methods looking at genetic material often use polymerase chain reaction, that is PCR reaction, a biochemical technology that amplifies a signal or a few copies of a piece of DNA across several orders of magnitude, generating thousands to millions of copies of a particular DNA sequence to facilitate identification. Specific PCR applications may be qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative includes presence or absence, or quantitative qPCR, that is measuring the magnitude of the source in the detection of a host associated target organism or gene. Now, we will discuss about some common LIMs. Cultivation of different species on groups. For example, Rhodococcus coprophilus has been proposed as a specific indicator for farm animal fecal contamination. Its natural habitat is herbivore waste on which the bacterium proliferates and can be found in high numbers. Combining cultivation with genetic marker detection. Application of PCR techniques can detect bacterial genes for toxin production that are specific to source type. For example, analysis of the 16S rRNA gene can detect the presence of bacteria specific to individual source groups. The group Bacteroideales is the most widely used taxon targeted for source identification for livestock, that is pigs, cattle, sheep, horses and chicken, and domestic pets such as dogs and cats. While Bacteroides is considered the predominant genus of human fecal bacteria. PCR analysis of viral markers. Because enteric viruses exhibit high degree of host specificity, viruses are increasingly used as species specific water quality indicators. The principal advantage of LIM methods is that they do not require development of a library database. This saves time and resources. Furthermore, the techniques that do not require culture of microorganisms can be quite rapid, that is completed and reported in the same day in which sampling occurred. Several drawbacks of LIM techniques should be mentioned. One of the major limitations of library independent techniques is the lack of techniques for host species beyond humans and a few domestic animal species. Second one is non-cultivation methods like PCR measure microbial genetic material and do not distinguish between living and dead organisms. Thus, such assessments may overestimate infectious microorganism levels. Further, no single genetic marker can be 100% specific and sensitive at the same time, and each assay has its own bias. Probabilistic statistical models must be used to evaluate genetic marker data. Experimental application of PCR based technology has successfully detected the presence of Salmonella species, Campylobacter species, different pathogenic strains of E. coli, protozoan parasite and enteroviruses. MSD is, however, an evolving science, and until such time as routine direct measurements of pathogen presence is possible, MSD should be viewed as one of a suite of methods for microbiological assessment, including sanitary surveys and synoptic sampling. MSD can be an effective tool for water quality management if used judiciously and with a clear understanding of the benefits and limitations of the specific method or methods employed. So, students, to conclude, today we have discussed about sampling to study the source of transmission of microorganisms in foods. Under this chapter, we have learnt about different food grade samplers, traditional and rapid methods of isolation, analysis and identification of microorganisms. Thank you.